Hi everyone, Dana here again with more Tuesday tips for leaders of volunteers, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and that also kind of ties into the theme of May 1st for workers and labor and unions and having a good work environment. So kind of combining these two topics, but leaning a little more towards mental health. One of the biggest factors in stress or mental health is the stability of housing and the stability of income or financial stability. So particularly feeling unsafe at home or feeling unstable in a living situation, no therapist can really cure that. That's something that takes a wider community response or government response, repairing social safety nets, but definitely making a human connection. If you are in crisis or if a volunteer comes to you saying, they're feeling like they're in a mental health crisis, here are a few proven tips from mental health awareness organizations, and I'm also going to reference several other articles and research studies, including a recent one that just came out today, May 1st, from Points of Light for Mental Health Month. So if you are in an organization that specializes in community mental health or individual mental health, I do appreciate you sharing your links and your resources and your wisdom and expertise in the comments below. So please do that if you're a specialist in this area. For everyone else, just letting you know that if you're an AmeriCorps member, there are mental health supports and benefits as an AmeriCorps member. If you're working for a nonprofit or government agency, check with HR or wellness, whoever's handling that in your organization, and see what mental health support benefits exist for yourself. And in some agencies, I've seen mental health support also for paid and unpaid team members, especially if it's a mission that's connected to compassion fatigue or higher stress levels, like human family shelters, animal shelters, human services, crisis lines, things like that. But if you're kind of doing a nonprofit mission or cause that isn't directly linked to mental health services, here are some great general tips if someone comes to you to have a confidential conversation in crisis, and some other resources to steer them towards if those don't exist within your organization. So the first thing is, of course, listen. Let people finish their sentences, don't interrupt them, let them complete thoughts, and practice active listening. I'll link to some more resources around that as well. After they finish, then you can respond and kind of mirror and make sure what you heard is correct. Let them know that you understand, or if you don't understand, say, like, I'm not sure I understand all of this, but I'm here to support you. But if someone is, spilling their guts to you and you've gone through something similar, that's great. Tell them. Really, a huge help in depression or isolation or anxiety is often that human connection. So many people can get overwhelmed with social things and overwhelmed with the world, but there's one-on-one human connections and knowing that someone else is out there, even like a quick emergency text like, ooh, having dark thoughts today, hey friend, can you check in? All of those little things can add up to mean a lot to someone who's in that crisis situation. Avoid being judgmental. Don't tell someone they're being weird or creepy or the other C word, crazy. It's not helpful at all. And take people seriously. Try not to respond with minimizing statements like, oh, you're just having a bad week, or, oh, I'm sure that's nothing. So there's that fine balance between, it's a little windy out here, fine balance between empathizing with your own experiences or maybe not being able to relate directly to their lived experiences, but having that empathy. And if the person asks for another chat or you're running out of time, make yourself available for another follow-up conversation, and or help direct them to better community resources or agency resources for mental health. We joke as leaders of volunteers that we wear a lot of different hats, and very often one of those hats is therapist. And for those of us who have social worker degrees, therapy degrees, psychology degrees, that's great. You have a lot more information. Please share that below. But most of the time we might be in that kind of accidental amateur therapist category. So we want to be as resource as possible for other people as well as for ourselves. Never, ever, ever turn what is told to you into gossip. That should be very common, but I've seen it happen way too often, even from HR directors and people in the agency. So knowing who you can trust, having a culture in the agency that's not about gossip or drama or tearing people down can be helpful. But if someone's talking to you about their mental health, it's probably tough for them to work up the nerve to do that and say something in the first place. So don't ever share and gossip and talk behind their back. Hopefully that's obvious, but have to say it. And if you don't understand, like I was talking about a little earlier, do some research and learn about what you've been told, just again to have a better understanding or empathy or compassion of it or medical understanding of it. And from ideally information from reliable sources like specifically mental health agencies or government agencies that do social services. And one of the most crucial pieces is to know when you need to call 911 for a crisis and know when it's going to be worse for police to be involved in a situation. So unfortunately, especially in the United States in our kind of wonky healthcare system, it's usually deadly or at least dangerous for police to respond to a mental health situation unless other people are in imminent danger. That's really not the way to go. So again, either make a list if your agency doesn't already have a list of mental community health resources. That's just a really good thing to have around. I did a lot of my own research when I was working with agencies full time on if a volunteer came to me in crisis, what other resources were available to that person. And online therapy for yourself or others, it's been a little wonky. Some of the newer online startup apps and things are being investigated for data sharing and criminal activity and other really, really unethical things. So again, I think that one-on-one human connection with a trusted agency or a trusted mental health professional is really ideal. And in the Points of Light article that I'll link to below, there's a lot of just great statistics and research that came out that's really easily summarized. But a couple of points to pull from that is that around 40%, 38 to like 43, depending on the generation, but 43% of people who responded to this research said that mental health is a concern. That might be for them personally as a lived experience. It could be their concern for a friend, a family, a community member. But of those 40-ish% of people who are concerned about mental health issues, 83% of them respond by volunteering. So either directly supporting a mental health support services agency or getting that human connection, getting that socialization, feeling like they're part of something bigger than themselves, that they're having an impact, that they're helping other people. There's been many, many, many research studies over the decades that volunteering can improve someone's mental health. So it's really interesting that it ties into our sector in that way, that volunteering is often something people turn to for themselves or to respond to mental health crisis that they think is in the community. And really it boils down to being kind to yourself and others, especially as leaders of volunteers. We're under a lot of stress. We often do not have a great living paid wage, and I'll link to more kind of labor and wage and negotiating and advocating for yourself videos here as well and at the end. But if other people are not being kind to you, it becomes even more important to be kind to yourself. So I hope that these have been helpful Tuesday tips for May Mental Health Awareness Month. And of course, every week more new Tuesday tips are coming throughout the rest of the month and beyond. And let me know what you think. And if you're not yet a subscriber, I appreciate you subscribing and liking the video and sharing it far and wide. So hopefully these resources reach the people that they can help the most. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.